Today is pretty much gonna be super simple. I think it's gonna be mostly squats. I'm probably gonna do some auxiliary work when it comes to like adductors, abductors, and then some kickbacks. Some new kickbacks. So it'll be simple. Very, very simple. It's good, Emo. We out here putting in work. It's leg day today, so I have the barbell and it's elevated. So we're going to put in some work. Alright, so today I'm gonna do the glute bridge again, and I'm gonna make some adjustments to the foot pedals. If you use the hip adductor, you're probably doing it wrong. Let me show you why. What's good, emo? So we're doing another car video, and personally I would prefer to be in the studio, but I'm actually picking up some lunch today, so this is what I got. So I left the gym and I needed some protein, and I went on the app for Chipotle, and they had the high protein bowl. That's basically a pre-made bowl, everything in there, and I just added some let's see here, I added fajitas, tomato salsa, and a little bit of corn and sour cream. That's about it. So if you're a real Chipotle fan, you know that the Chipotle Tabasco is key. I wasn't gonna take a bottle. I'm not that savage anymore. But just know, best hot sauce in the game for bowls like this, burritos and things like that. So let's see what it was looking like. That's pretty damn good. Some people don't like Chipotle. I don't know how, because it's literally just ingredients placed in a bowl, but it's usually just how you build your bowl that determines whether or not you're going to enjoy it. Personalize it. Make it yours. This is what I like, so Eat what you like. This is what it's looking like. So this is huge, right? I could eat this in one sitting. I won't, but the idea of this being like something to help you reach your goals is key. You want to think about food as fuel and not necessarily just a reward or something nice to have. So when it comes to ordering out at Chipotle, the pleasure for me is in all the vegetables and the toppings and the flavors. I don't really get a kick out of just eating a lot of food. I just like the flavors. So even if I order something like Chinese food, my favorite dish is General Tso's, but it's really just because of the sauce and, you know, how it feels to eat fried chicken and things like that. I don't need to eat a whole lot of it. So once you get past how much of the food you're eating, that's really just calorie counting, that you can get into what the food is made of. So there was a big YouTuber, Dame Drops. He got me interested in like trying different restaurants, trying different items. And obviously one of the things that a lot of food review people will have to deal with is the lifestyle competing with the work, right? His work ethic was like amazing. And so then he had to start really thinking about what kinds of food he's eating. And one of the things that stood out to me was he didn't really like vegetables, which I think is not necessarily his fault. I think we just in general grow up being marketed and kind of told that vegetables are just kind of like, you know, the stepchild of food, right? But what I've learned in reality, there's actually a role that vegetables play that we try to replace with other foods and other things. So something like the bell pepper, I added that to this bowl, the fajita vegetables, because bell peppers are high in vitamin C. I would have never done that in high school, in elementary school, shit, even college, because I just didn't know, right? So the idea of me turning down putting bell peppers in this bowl would have purely just been out of whether or not I enjoyed, you know, the taste of it, whether or not I've had it before, very surface level things. But when you think about what you want in your goals, bell peppers pretty much, in this context of a fajita bowl, would very much make this a better bowl than if I didn't add it to it. So now I can feel a little better eating this, right? Again, I don't have to eat a lot of it. It's a big bowl, but I can feel better knowing that it is good for me. So now when I think of like people who don't like vegetables, people who say that, that's what I usually think. I usually think you don't like vegetables because of the taste, maybe, you know, sometimes people have bad experiences with foods. It's like you had like a bad batch of something, you know, somebody just didn't prepare it right. That can be true. But I think what has to happen is we still have to know what we're rejecting when we say we don't like vegetables. Or I've heard some people say, I don't like to drink water and things like that. It's okay to have preferences, but do you understand what you're turning down, right? So like if I were to say, I don't like, I don't know, I don't like fruit. I don't like fresh fruit like raspberries. Well, you're essentially turning down a fruit that's high in fiber. And fiber is really good for moving all this food through your body and a lot of other functions within your body. So you're intentionally turning that down just to feel comfort, which means you're intentionally turning down what possibly could help you get to your goal faster or in a healthy way for comfort. That's all you're doing. Now, for me, this was important to understand because as a young man, you will see this happening with people older than you. You'll see people older than you gravitating towards comfort rather than what they're supposed to do. And in your mind, you'll justify it because they're older than you. You'll think, well, they're fine, they can do it, right? So there's some kind of like benefit to being comfortable. But when you figure that out and try to use that when you're young, you maximize, you try to capitalize. It's like if you were 20 years old and your first job, you started making like $140,000 a year. You only want to go up. You won't be like, all right, next year I'm gonna try to do fast food and go down to like 40,000 and see what that's like. You're not gonna do that reasonably, you know? So that's the idea behind mastering a few different principles and concepts early that you see older people still struggling with, because it doesn't mean that you're better, but it does mean that you have an understanding of where you are a little better. But this is what I mean by I'm probably not going to eat this in one sitting. This whole conversation, this is how big of a dent I made in this bowl. I could sit here and just crush it, but I'm not that much of a savage anymore. I'm more of James Bond now. I'm more strategic when it comes to my attacks. But yeah, this was Eat Better Today, a quick little carb video. Like I said, I don't really like making these, but I need to hit my protein goal, and coach has been on me about making sure I do it. So I'm gonna make sure I put the extra effort in and get it done, because the idea, again, behind rejecting what's good for you because you want to feel comfortable is stupid. I'm not gonna, choose not to get the high protein bowl from Chipotle and not meal prep when I get home, and I'm not gonna reject these things because I know they're good for me. So shout out to coach. We're about to get back to work. I just left the gym, about to go home, put some more work in, and I am out, y'all. I will see you very, very, very soon.